Hey, welcome back to another edition of Velo News TV, being joined by Tim Helion of the Tour de Nez, the coolest bike race in the world. You know, Tim, sometimes we talk about the hardest, we talk about the longest. I know press conference going on right now for the Tour of America, but you are the coolest, my friend.
You know, somebody said that once, and I'm running with it so hard.
Sure.
It was in print. How do you argue with something that's in a magazine in print, Dave?
No, absolutely.
We have fun.
It's not the self-anointed coolest bike race in America. Someone else said it.
Wasn't my idea.
Now, so what makes the Nez the coolest race?
It's fun, and it just kind of covers the whole gamut. I mean, it's not just a great pro race. It's not just a great festival. It's a great, I mean, it started as a party. What bike race started as a party and added a bike race later? I mean, we've got the messengers, the clunkers. It's goofy. It
really, I mean, it's goofy, but it's great. And when you look, a lot of people who don't know the history of the Tour de Nez, it goes back to a restaurant in Reno called Du Gros Nez, which you started a little over 20 years ago, no longer in existence, but it kind of ended on your terms, which was nice.
Yeah.
And you know, we've seen riders like Tony Cruz come through the doors, Greg LeMond, Jacques Boyer, and now Alex Candelario, Freddie Rodriguez. It's been amazing the people who have not only been to the Du Gros Nez, but have been affected by the Du Gros Nez. And then the bike race really came out of the restaurant and then took on a life of its own, didn't it?
It really did. It was, you know, as you stated, it started right there in the parking lot, and then evolved as over the neighborhood, and it's just grown into this Reno, Tahoe regional Sierras monster, which is really neat.
And on that note, we had a chance to go up and meet with the folks at North Star as you were looking at ways to bring a major road stage back, possibly a circuit race, and looking at sort of, once again, and that's sort of the great thing about the Tour de Nez, it's a very organic event as well. And each year you're given the opportunity to reinvent what the stages are going to look like. I mean, obviously races like the Tour de France or the Amgen Tour of California, they change things every year, but you kind of, because it's your race, and you answer to really no one but yourself and your sponsors, you're allowed to make the changes that can be wholesale at times. And so is North Star in the future for the Tour de Nez?
So we're so excited about that possibility, Dave, and so are they. I mean, it was really great to have them approach us and say, what do we got to do to get the Tour de Nez to be part of our experience? And they're working really hard on taking how people perceive them as this mountain bike park and a downhill thing to a overall mecca of cycling, and they were really excited about the place that the Tour de Nez can be a part of that. And so, yeah, man, it's just on fire. It's really great.
Yeah, I mean, it really is interesting when you look at, you know, there's going to be pioneers in any walk of life. And it looks like North Star has kind of looked around and tried to cherry pick the best ideas from places like Whistler and places like Boulder, Colorado, and places like Las Vegas, and you know, and places like all over the world where cycling is part of the culture, and boiling that down and creating one place where not only can I go ride my bike, or you know, you go ride your bike, but you can take your wife, and if she doesn't feel like riding, there's stuff that she can do, and your daughter Annie Rose can find things to do as well while they're there. And it's sort of, you have to look at the big picture of things. If you just cater to the elite athlete, well, you know, what about the elite athlete's wife? It seems like they get it, don't they?
They do. That's really important to them, and I think they've got great vision. So not only are they looking at the whole experience, but so how do we get pieces of this there? Well, you support the pieces by their pieces and make sure it's a great fit for everybody. And they embrace the region too. And so many times you work with properties or entities that are so sighted on just their footprint, their immediate space, and which is a really hard thing to work with a sponsor on. Is, you know, we're bringing an environment, we're bringing a big piece, not just a little say. So they look at the whole area as their piece, and they feel like they're the epicenter of it. So to have an event we want to do a full stage race. There's 2 crits, there's 2 road races, there's the circuit race, as well as all the ancillary events with the kids and the stuff.
I'm tired thinking about it already.
Yeah, you're going to work hard this year, man. So they love that, because that is the footprint that North Star is.
Well, you know, and we've talked about this with some other promoters, but I think you're getting to the fact that it's not about you trying to make your piece of the pie bigger. It's about making the pie bigger and keeping your piece, because it's going to grow as the pie grows. I mean, do you, when you look at talk with other promoters, and I know that you guys had a meeting the other day, is there a redoubling of the efforts of promoters trying to help other promoters make their events better?
You're hitting the nail on the head, and it's really cool right now, and because that's, you know, we all talk in pieces at meetings like this or at their various races, the various promoters in the country. And we did have a meeting, and one of the topics is how to make American racing more cohesive and how to have it flow through the year, as opposed to, I work on the Tour de Nez, it happens a week in June, and then for the other 11 months of the year, people are going, okay, what's going on?
Sure.
On a regional, but on a national level, there's such a great opportunity to create a flow through the country and have cohesive media partners or marketing issues, or work with the teams in a way that the travel and the schedule works for them, so that people out there in the world, and everybody knows cycling's on fire, people want to hear about this, they want to see it, what's going on in cycling this week, what's going on in cycling this week. If we can present it in a means that it's going on all the time for the people out there, you know, work together with the TV so that people know where to go watch it.
Sure.
They don't say, okay, the Tour de Nez, or okay, Nature Valley, or okay, or Rochester, that's all I know. They know about the whole season. They know the riders. They know how it's great. It's really exciting.
So what are your thoughts when you hear about WCSN and WCSN.com and their desire to try to, you know, right now they've been working with Ravi and Gene with the USA Crit Series, and that's certainly, the criterium is a nice model, because instead of a road race where you've got a point-to-point or a large circuit where you've got to have a lot of police and a lot of motorbikes out there, helicopter in the air, with the criterium you can put a couple fixed cameras out on the course, maybe a camera on a bike, and you can really capture the essence and the vibe of the event. It's something that you see helping to grow the sport in America right
Absolutely, now? Absolutely. And you know, there's a lot of theories about there, and some people present a race in one means, or some in another means. Americans don't have the depth and the history of cycling that the Europeans do. And so to just throw them road races, you know, it's great for the riders, it's great for the enthusiast, the pure enthusiast. But for the most part, and NASCAR is a great model. You know, everybody hates to use it, but it's in your face.
Yeah.
People want the big show. They want to see the whole deal. For the most part, people that have come to our race over the years, you know, when we first started doing it at this party, 80% of the people that were there didn't know what the hell was going on.
Sure.
Yet it looked really cool. And so what's going on? Well, if you show it in a showcase where they can see the whole thing, boom, you're enrolling them into the deal, and they get a better understanding, and it's really American style racing. I mean, I want to do it all. And so if you give them pieces of each, you can include it, and they have a better understanding. So we got a road race too. But yeah, I think, and what you're talking about, this TV thing, that's one of those pieces we were talking as a cohesive media outlet that would work really good for all of cycling in the U.S.
Yeah, I think personally it really is what we need. Yeah, I have a question for you going back to this year's event, and I think that we've seen the crowds growing at a very, very, like, at the kind of rate that you want to see, 10 to 15% bigger each year for the last 2 or 3 years, probably because that amazing announcer that you hired.
What's his name? Dave Toll?
Yeah, something like that. But actually, along those lines, though, you did some really fun new things this year, and one of them was taking a yearbook picture, for lack of a better term, of the entire crowd. How did that picture end up?
I got to send you a copy.
Yeah,
because you're in the back corner, like trying to pretend you're not in it.
I think
you're there
trying to move. It was like herding cats. It was getting the picture together.
That was really fun.
Did it end up in the paper?
It's on it's on its website.
It was a little bit like the paper did do a good job of covering the race.
They did a great job covering it. That one photo they didn't, which is interesting because it is a city photo. So for those that don't know, what we did was invited the entire community in every facet. So we hit the pieces of cycling, hit the spectators, the kids, the families, promoted this thing. So everybody in Reno showed up in the middle of the street for this photo from a boom. It was really fun. I don't know. It's like a town photo. And so it was a cycling community.
Right. And, you know, it's funny. Whenever I talk to people, you know, from Truckee or from Reno nowadays, and I mention, I've been there the last few years. My friend Tim Helion promotes this great race called the Tour de Nez. I'm hitting at about a 90% success rate with people who have heard of the Nez. And so, I mean, it really seems like it's been this grassroots approach for you. You never, made one huge splash splash like the Tour of America is doing right now, where you said we're going to have a bazillion-dollar prize list or anything like that. It's been slowly and steadily growing the event. Is that why it's still around?
I think there's a lot of reasons it's still around. There's just incredible enthusiasm from the idiot that puts the thing on. He won't stop. Okay,
that's that part idiot of it. Being this guy right here.
Right. Yeah, you ought to know. So, but yeah, and the people we get to work with, and the opportunity I have to kind of mess with a little bit each year. So it's new all the time.
And you know one thing you did this year that was probably the smartest thing you've ever done? You know where I'm going, don't you? Hired Marnie Benson, finding a good PR strategist for the race, and someone who can keep you in line.
Someone that makes sure that I'm at this interview on time.
You wouldn't have been here.
No, I'd be wandering around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Talking with someone about the tour.
Check my watch.
Oh, right. Yeah. No cell phone, no watch. Yeah. You live in the dream. There's no. Jim, I must say, in our cycling community, you're what it's all about. We take ourselves oh so seriously sometimes, and people get so uptight about the promotion of events and events competing with each other, and keeping it fun and for lack of a better term, keeping it real is exactly what you've done. So I certainly hope that we keep the Tour de Nez around for a long, long time. But you better keep Marty Benson. We'll never make it.
I never make it. I got to keep Marty Benson. That's a good thing. Well, thank you.